Good evening. This evening, I'm going to be reading from Acts 23, 12 to 21, about a situation that Apostle Paul had come up against. It says, when it was day, the Jews made a plot and bound themselves by an oath, neither to eat nor drink till they had killed Paul. They hated him that much. There were more than 40 who made this conspiracy. They went to the chief priests and elders and said, we have strictly bound ourselves by an oath to taste no food till we have killed Paul. Now therefore you, along with the council, give notice to the tribune to bring him down to you, as though you were going to determine his case more exactly, and we are ready to kill him before he comes near. So do you see what's going on here? They're faking a situation so that they can take somebody out that they want to take out. Now, I want you to know, in case you don't realize this is very commonplace. It's not always with the result of murdering somebody, but accusing people falsely of things they did not do because you want to silence somebody, okay? And this was the case. They just wanted to silence Paul. They wanted to shut him up. And the best way they knew to shut him up was to kill him, because they thought if they could get rid of him, then his followers would probably disperse and maybe not follow him, kind of like they did with Jesus, okay? So please be aware, if you aren't already aware, that these kinds of things are going on in the gatherings of what is called church, and pastors and church leaders. A lot of them are even being trained in this. My husband and I were church planters for a while. We went through the training, and one of the training that we went through, they told us you need to use needy people. Use needy people. Take advantage of them. But when you get up and running, you need to get rid of them because they're just going to weigh you down. And I'm like, what? You know, who did Jesus minister to? Jesus ministered to the needy people. We were ministering to needy people. We were, at that time, had a ministry to college students out of our home. We did that for 7.5 years. And I'm like, what's wrong with this picture? Anyway, so just be aware that these kinds of things are not rare, but they are actually going on within the gatherings of what is called church. Because they're learning because they're marketing the church to the world. They're using the same marketing methods that other businesses do, and if you don't think that they lie to you, then you need to wake up, because lying is just so much a part of life today. So many people just lie. They're being trained to lie. Well, just tell a lie and then you can get away with something. And it's a really sad situation. Okay, I'm gonna go on. Now the son of Paul's sister, so his nephew, heard of their ambush, so he went and entered the barracks and told Paul. Paul called one of the centurions and said, take this young man to the tribune, for he has something to tell him. So he took him and brought him to the tribune and said, Paul, the prisoner, called me and asked me to bring this young man to you, and he has something to say to you. The tribune took him by the hand and going aside asked him privately, what is it that you have to tell me? And he said, the Jews have agreed to ask you to bring Paul down to the council tomorrow, as though they were going to inquire somewhat more closely about him. But do not be persuaded by them, for more than 40 of their men are lying in ambush for him, who have bound themselves by an oath, neither to eat nor drink till they have killed him, and now they are ready, waiting for your consent. Okay, now I'm going to make this practical to today, and I'm going to share a personal example of that, because I've faced a lot of these kinds of things in my life. The second part of this, what this says to me is, this is a warning to not buy into lies. It's a warning that says, you know, pay attention, because not everything is as it appears on the surface, and be wise and be discerning. Okay, I'm going to give you an example, and maybe you'll be able to see how this is being acted out in the church today. This is just one example. Okay. So my husband and I, as I said, had a ministry to college students, and we did this 7.5 years out of our home. But there were times when we tried to connect the ministry with a local institutional church because we thought that was the right thing to do. And so we had connected with this one local institutional church. We were not we were not as a ministry specifically under their authority. They didn't own the ministry. It was more of a partnership where we went in and we were using their facility, and then we had a ministry to college students, and if they had college students, and that, so they provided something for us, we provided something for them, and that was the understanding. The other understanding was we had told them that our ministry is to needy people, and that the focus of our ministry was to make these young people feel as though they were part of a family, to feel wanted, because a lot of them didn't have that, growing up, and we wanted them to feel wanted and accepted and valued, and as though they were important, and we wanted to give them a place where they felt like they were part of a family, where we had things that they could do where they felt as though they were important, they were needed, and we all need that, okay? So, and they knew this, this was presented to them before we ever agreed to join with them, and it's sort of a partnership. So this one day, the pastor calls me into his office, and a woman should never go into the office of a pastor or any man, because it's always a he said, she said after that, So he called me into his office, and he said, would you say that your praise band, for our the college ministry, would you say they would draw in large crowds of people? And I knew exactly where he was going with this, and I'm like, I'm sitting back there like, why? I mean, better than this guy, I didn't say that, but I'm like, but I knew where he was going with it. And basically what he said is he wanted to replace our praise band with another praise band who he thought, he thought would draw in large crowds of people from the world, because ours wasn't modern enough, or whatever, to attract large crowds of young people, and so basically kick us out, and replace them, our group with other people who had a cooler sound or whatever, regardless of the fact that these young people were feeling as though, they had a place, they had a ministry, they were important, and but I submitted to him because we had partnered with him, and and he asked me to take it back to our ministry group. We had a leadership team, and so I did, and I presented it to them, and so we decided we would all meet with him, and we would have a discussion with him about it. And so we set up a meeting with him, and we got to the meeting, and so I asked him, about what he said to me, and he said, I would never do that. And I'm like, that's what you said to me, He said, I would never do that. I said, okay, then what did you mean by what you said to me? And he just answered, I would never do that. And I said, but this is what you said to me. What did you mean by that? And he just said, I would never do that. Okay, that's what's called a non-denial denial, which is a lie. You deny without really denying, so he never said that he didn't say it. So he didn't deny that he said it. you know, but he denied it by not admitting that he said it and by acting as though, that wasn't in his thinking at all, so it was extremely deceptive. So he and I had a couple conversations, back and forth after that. And all I wanted to know is if he didn't intend to do that, why did he say that? Why did he say that to this group? Why didn't he say why he, why didn't he answer my question, so what he did then is he talked to what they called a session. This is a Presbyterian church, and they called me to a meeting. And they said that before I came to the meeting, that I had to admit that I lied about the pastor. And I'm like, I didn't lie, And he never once said that he didn't say that to me. Okay. So I didn't lie. And I said, well, please, I says, I can't, because that would be a lie to lie, and I said, I can't do that. Can you please remove that criteria for the meeting? And they would not. They refused. Okay, so and one of the main people in this was a lawyer. And a lawyer knows different from that. You do not accuse somebody of a crime, and then before you would even hold a court case, you force them to admit that they did something that they didn't do. That's exactly what was happening. That lawyer knew better. That pastor knew better. So what were they doing? They were trying to set me up because they wanted to get rid of me, because I knew that pastor that pastor was lying, that he was doing the denial thing. And so they wanted to get rid of me. And so I told him I couldn't show up for their meeting if they couldn't remove that criteria, because I couldn't tell a lie, And so what did they do? They put me on church discipline. And I'm like, that's not what church discipline is about. You put people on church discipline who are sinning, and you can prove that they're sinning. I wasn't sinning. I was obeying the Lord and walking with the Lord, and my husband and I were ministering to these young people, so, so we ended up pulling them a whole ministry. Just took our college ministry and just walked out, because we weren't bound to them. It wasn't their ministry. It was, well, this was really the Lord's ministry, but it was ours then. And so we just took it back to our home. But so what I'm sharing with you is, and that's just one example. I've faced many, many, many of the kind of stuff that's going on in today's institutional churches. A lot of these church leaders, a lot of these pastors are being trained, and I've heard Christians, well, just tell them this or just tell them that, and I'm like, no, you don't do that. That's a lie, But so much of that is going on. And so you need to be aware of it, be aware that these kinds of things are going on, be discerning, ask questions. Don't just trust everything everybody says, because there's so much lies and deceptions that are going on in the institutional churches today. So pray over everything, test everything, and be discerning, so that you don't get trapped into those kinds of things. Okay, that was the main thing for today. All right.